Mod's Wolf.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
I don't know if I've thrown our producer off by going like the opposite way than we usually do. On my right, your left, we have Mod Husky. Sorry.
Yeah.
And on the end there, we've got Mod JD, who we actually haven't had on the Old School stream before.
No, first time. Been here 5.5 years. First time on the Old School live stream. So
yeah, your debut. You're very welcome.
Yes.
I'll start off with a few announcements, as we normally do. The first one is for Runefest. We're under a month away now. I think it's something like 20 odd days. I don't know off the top of my head exactly.
4th of October is when the fun starts. So
nice lower third there for you guys to look at.
Is it a lower third if it takes? I guess.
Lower quarter in this case. Lower fifth. Okay. Exclamation mark Runefest in the chat will take you to our page for buying tickets, I believe, still, if you are interested in attending. We have a few tickets left for you guys to pick up.
They are running out quickly.
There's not many left, actually. Yeah, last time I checked, there's not many left. So
Please come and see us.
Someone clip that.
In other news, we've got the Last Man Standing rewards poll still live. I think we're closing that tomorrow.
Friday, I think.
Friday, my mistake. So if you haven't voted yet, please check out the poll blog and vote on the rewards. Speaking of rewards, exclamation mark BH should take you to the Bounty Hunter poll blog that went live yesterday. I think we're starting that poll very shortly after the LMS one closes on Friday. So please have your say, and we can adjust the questions and details of that poll blog in time for the poll going live. Next thing I wanted to touch on is quite a few of you guys have been asking about Deadman Seasonal and what we're doing in terms of our esports and competitive play. This is why I have our head of community to touch on this topic. I'm going to hand over to Mod JD to speak about that briefly.
Yeah, so I know there's been a lot of chat recently about Deadman, future of Deadman, and I think we are at the point where obviously we've hired head of esports in a couple of months ago, and she's kind of feeling out all of the different opportunities that we might have within Old School and within RuneScape as well. And she is pulling together her plan right now. We are in a position where towards perhaps the latter part of this year or the start of next year, we'll be able to kind of present those plans to you as a community. These things don't happen overnight, unfortunately. From where we were when we finished Deadman to where we want to be in the next kind of year, 2-3 years, it's a big jump. And I've seen what she's been pulling together. It looks really, really exciting, really, really good. I'm really kind of, excited for kind of presenting it to you guys, but it will be a little bit of time at this point.
Sure. I think something we haven't made explicit just yet is whether or not we'll be developing Deadman itself or exploring other potential game modes. Are you able to sort of say at this point where we're...
Not really at this point, and I feel like it's probably not my place to say that at this point. I would rather that when we got Mod Rogue onto the live stream, she can present it to everybody in kind of the exciting way that she can, that I think it will be more appropriate to do so when we've got a finalised plan, which we know we can commit to, and we know that what we can give you kind of rough dates as well.
It's worth pointing out that like Deadman in the past, we've said it before, and we'll say it again. Like we always wanted it to be really good and great, and it was for what it was. But every time that we'd make a new iteration of it, the changes that you guys would want from something like it versus what we were able to deliver were few and far between. So that's why we've took a break. It's not happening right now, so we can look into just not only that, but potential other things in terms of esport and competitive gaming endeavors, so that we start from a fresh slate, but also going into it knowing how much work we can put into it, instead of, it always felt like with Deadman before, we were kind of fumbling over our feet to ensure that it was just getting the right amount of stuff out to change versus the last time, and fixing the problems, but then also, so this is like a fresh slate, a fresh start. If it was a Deadman or if it was something else as well, we can dedicate our work to it properly.
I think we all agreed that it was getting a little bit stale, and we wanted to do something that when we kind of bring back competitive gaming to Old School, that it's something that you guys are going to be wanting, something that's going to be exciting, something that's going to mean that we're going to be able to bring in esports teams and kind of build out that program from there. And I think, as I say, that's what really excites me.
Sure.
There was one more thing that I just wanted to quickly touch on as well, and that's about interactions with us guys and you guys, really. And I know that there's 99% of you guys, absolutely fantastic, provide us with amazing feedback, amazing kind of suggestions and ideas for how we can improve the content. Sometimes that does kind of bleed into then being slightly less constructive. And I would just like to remind everybody that we are people. There are some instances where it kind of bleeds from constructive into not constructive, and I would really hope that everybody will be able to kind of provide us with that constructive side of things rather than it being more kind of abusive, let's put it like that. I know that there have been a couple of instances in the last kind of few weeks where that's been the case, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate that as much as you're passionate about the game, that's fantastic. Please channel that into a more kind of constructive route. It's not going to make it come any faster.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely the way I see it. Obviously, our community and you guys are super passionate and excited about this stuff, just as we are, of course. We all love this game. We want it to do as well as possible. And it's like Mod JD has just said, we channel that in the right way, a way that allows us to communicate with you guys effectively so that we can bring about the kind of content and changes that you guys want. Cool. Well, if that's everything from yourself, Mod JD,
yeah.
Thank you very much for
Thanks very much. I know
here.
it's been short, but
Thanks very much for having me.
Excellent. Right. That's it for the announcements. We'll move on to the questions shortly, but just before, I have a couple pieces of artwork that I'd like.
Somebody in the chat said they love your polo shirt.
Did they really?
Somebody did. One person said it, so now we can say it. Go,
Okay,
quick,
cool.
quick.
So, yeah.
Rhino. There we go. This is
Rhino, you have noticed I'm wearing a RS polo shirt. This is coming to the store tomorrow with tomorrow's update. The white one is the only one we're having added to the store for the time being, but if there's enough demand for other colours, perhaps a black polo top or any other colour that you like.
You look like you're in a frat. In America, you do actually. I didn't see it till now, but that's true.
We thought junior school when we were discussing it before this.
Yeah, it reminded us of primary school a little bit.
Yeah, see, these are the kinds of tops that we wear in school when you're doing PE. I think they call it, physical or sports, athletics,
It's physical
whatever.
education, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be fair, we can't really talk because we accidentally wore Hawaiian. We didn't even plan it, so.
I like this shirt.
I like the shirt too. I think it's great. These ones aren't for sale. That one is though.
Yeah, so this will be for sale
These
in the
from
store tomorrow.
Sainsbury's.
And yeah, there's potential for more colours in the future if you want to rock the golfer / PE / tennis player look with the RS logo. Sorry, RS stones in the top left.
Which notably are embroidered rather than printed. That's quite
Yes,
rare.
I'm
not
don't know
going
if
to
we can
touch it
get
to
a,
demonstrate.
don't know if we can get a close up. I don't want to run up to the camera because I've got. But yeah, these are nicely embroidered onto the t-shirt. There you go.
Scratch it.
Which one am I turning to?
Scratch
there we
it.
go. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
You don't see that on stream every day.
No,
Cool.
yeah.
Right, that's it for the merch plug. We have, like I say, some artwork I'd love to show off if our lovely producer Mod John is ready with the pictures. Our first one is called Cerberus Fight for Kiki Bob. I think it was a requested piece of artwork. Shout out to Kiki Bob. This was done by Artiste OSRS on Twitter.
They've done a few things that we've shown before. They have the upstairs on my desk. There's the person in the rainbow graceful doing the farm.
Is that them as well?
That's them.
Ah, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
because I love that drawing as well.
Yeah. I like her art style.
Yeah, for reference,
Or his.
that drawing
Sorry.
is someone in the foreground in full graceful, obviously the rainbow set with different colours for each piece, running away from an angry mob in the background. Yeah, so I wanted to show that off. I thought that was awesome work. The Twitter handle is there at the bottom if you guys are interested in following.
Wish Alfie was still around to talk about it because he, of course, made the environment where Cerberus is fought and possibly
really
the boss as well.
Ah, nice.
And make sure you give these artists a follow as well. A lot of them do commissions for their own stuff, and I know that Artiste does as well. So maybe if you want something done,
Yeah.
they can help you out.
Our next one is a GIF of the if we're clicking, there we go, of a player facing against the Great Olm. This is by Kate Collects.
Similarly, I think we've also shown some of their stuff off as well.
We have. You may recognise this user because they created the winning video from the Song of the Elves video competition.
Let me quickly check them as well, because I'm pretty sure that, so they also do commissions. I saw their commission thing the other day. I'm not trying to sell them out for them, but we have so many talented artists who, do a lot of work with the community. Even though you're watching a stream and you'll see a pop-up of a GIF like this and not realise that somebody's put so much hard work and effort into it. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah,
Check that out as well.
I've been following her feed on Twitter recently and seeing that she's doing more pixel art and GIFs and that kind of thing. They all look great, so make sure to give her a follow.
I've got the other one from Artiste if you want to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have a look.
let's have it.
Hi.
Oh yeah, that was the other one from Artiste. Yeah, we have that one at the office, which I love.
This is excellent.
Gotta love the saboteurs.
I can't help but hate the thought of wearing that in game, though.
Yeah.
That's why it's great, right?
I think the expression on the face like perfectly captures the feeling someone who actually does that to their graceful gets when everyone else is raging at them.
I'd definitely be in the angry mob in this photo.
I think I am too.
I think it looks great. What are you on about? As I slowly tilt my shoe to the.
All right. Lest anyone like Michael from the other week get upset with us, I'm going to move on to the questions now. I realise we started a little bit late and we're 17 minutes past 5. Shout out to Mod Bruno, who I don't think I mentioned earlier. He's on the chat for us, and if you want to have your questions answered, please at Old School RS in the chat. He'll gather the questions up for you and we'll get round to those at the end. Also, guys, obviously feel free if you see any that are pertinent or urgent to pick them out from the chat and we'll answer them. Our first question is a suggestion, and this player asks if we could get a red text message in the chat box telling us which quest was just started when we begin a new quest. This would help new players who are just wandering around the map, questing organically, and starting all the quests that they see on the mini-map. Is this something we could achieve? I mean, first off, do we like the idea, I suppose?
Yes.
I think it's quite a nice one. It was asked by a relatively new player, I think. We could tell from the way they were
I think one of the things
replying to the comments.
One of the things that I've noticed a lot more in more recent quests is there's actually a bit more of a confirmation, especially like I think Song of the Elves says you are about to start the Song of the Elves quest.
The
And you've
newer
got
ones.
yes or no.
Right.
And I think
something Ed does.
yeah.
I think we.
Because that would explain a lot about it being in the new quest.
I don't know if I like to really clarify they're about to start a quest usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd hate to think of the work to go back through every single quest and find that setting of the quest to set the message. That would be quite a big job for content that for a lot of stuff that people have already done.
It wouldn't be hard. It would just be a bit of work.
Yes, yeah, it's not difficult work.
I would say while we signpost the newer quests, perhaps more obviously, a lot of the older quests is maybe not so clear. Without going through your quest guide and seeing which one's yellow, but maybe if you're a new player, you've got a bunch of yellow ones, you're not sure which actually you just started, you know?
I remember having this discussion even just back when we were looking at the new player experience stuff, and I was helping working on the adventure path stuff, and we were just talking about like what are the things that are just really difficult for new players right now, and part of it is like why does the random cook in the kitchen have a quest and all this, and actually just making it harder to see. And I know that we were talking about and never actually went with it, but the idea of having like the quest icon above their head just until you've started the quest, I know that was something we considered, just being like, you know, is this something we want to put to the community as a way to help them identify these quest givers? I know a lot of other quests do that, like in other games, but
Yeah.
Well, they might vote for it.
I don't know if that's something that people generally would like.
Yeah.
And it would obviously be like, once you start it, or once you've got any progress towards it, it would just not appear. It would be only for free, like for the free-to-play quest as well, if we were to try it.
It's one of those like harder ones where like, so obviously you can see some of the new player experience stuff that we've done, but you'll note that we didn't choose that one to do because we did think that one might be a bit too, you know, not old school, a bit more in your face than what people might expect. But there is also an existing problem that's, you know, clearly evident with this kind of question, that
Just general signposting.
unless you are constantly looking at the wiki, or you follow, you know, the quest guide in the wiki, or because there's also a guide on which quests to do in order and stuff. Generally speaking, in an area other than in the mini-map, you don't know what levels you need for that quest unless you go to the person, really, or unless you even know what the quest is you're about to start there.
Yeah.
And so you have to look through 150, nearly 150 quests just to find what the quest is if you aren't willing to look at the wiki or something. It's like a new player really struggles with that. But
So what we can do is improve the quest list that we have got. I know that some of our staff have done a bit of prototyping with metadata to show which quests you've got the requirements for and which ones you haven't, and even to lay out the quests in a sort of, well, to show the trees of which ones depend on which other ones. And if we could do more with that, maybe the information that new players aren't getting could be made available to them in a way that old school players would be more comfortable accepting than big icons over their heads.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, if we did do it, no one's talking about forcing it in the game, it's integrity. It was something we thought we might poll but didn't and haven't. And if we did do it, we'd make the things go away again the moment the quest was started, so that for players, in the case of most of you,
you wouldn't
see it anyway because you'd have got rid of it again.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
I do see a lot of things, people being like, just check the wiki and stuff, but I think people don't realise how difficult that is to do on mobile. We have a lot of players coming through mobile, and it's just really hard to get that information on the screen at the same time.
Other things we can do is take the world map, which we do have, and which I think we actually bother showing to new players as they start these days. Correct me if I'm wrong about that.
Not yet, I think.
Spoiler.
Yeah,
I know that's been talked about, but not yet.
maybe something we should have mentioned on Tutorial Island, but haven't so far. Maybe will. Anywho, using the world map, the fact is quest icons do appear there. If you could click them to get useful info, maybe click them to get the quest journal or something, and also the quest journals where it says, to start this quest, you need to speak to, I don't know, Burnt Meat in the Troll Stronghold. Maybe we could, that's a bit vague. Now for a quest like his quests, it wouldn't work, it doesn't really matter too much, but for the newer ones, we could go to a bit more trouble to explain where to find people. Again, without needing over their heads.
Okay, so it sounds like we're in favour of changes like this, but we'll take them into consideration with other kinds of things that we're doing to improve the new player experience, particularly with finding quests and other activities.
Yeah.
People are saying moving on. Just to clarify, by the way, I always get confused because people want us sometimes to have discussions about things, and we went from a question about quest to overall new player experience and quest. That was like a really good discussion, in my opinion, I thought, coming from Mod Husky. But, you know, in the next 3 questions, when we ask a suggestion that you think's really silly, and you'll be upset, I'm just saying, like, you can't have the best of both worlds sometimes. Which one do you want? Like, I thought that was a good discussion.
I think what we need is a little egg timer or an hourglass to put on the table that we can flip. The question starts maybe like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, something else. There couldn't possibly be anything relevant to say beyond that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's ask about something overpowered
let's move
that we
on.
inevitably won't.
Cool, so I've seen a few players asking about this and a suggestion or two around it as well. What do you think about adding more grapple agility shortcuts? And this leads up to the suggestion of allowing you to add the grapple to your Ava's device, just for sort of getting around more easily or conveniently.
I'm guessing it's like infinite grapple once it's stuck there.
I think that's the idea, yeah.
I would have it, if I was to do it, work. So I think a grapple can still break, and I would still give it the break chance so that you can take your grapple, but it has a chance to break, and maybe you have to restock it. Maybe you can put charges of grapples. I don't know how I haven't looked at the Ava's devices, so I don't know if we have space to put stuff like that on them. I think.
Well, they don't use object variables, they just are an item that while it's equipped, a timer runs on you that can generate junk in your backpack. We added a toggle to get rid of that again.
Yeah.
And also while it's there, ammo just doesn't go on the ground so much.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a surprising amount of support for this, actually. I expected it not to be very popular.
Well, grapples are a right pain in the wasp name to carry around.
Yeah.
So I could see grapple shortcuts actually becoming more useful if this were a thing.
Do you know, that was one of the things that, like, I think people realise that the max cape is so powerful, but like that was one of the things I realised after getting it. It was like, I don't have to use that inventory space anymore. I can just take a grapple from the fletching perk, because again, I think it's fletching, is it?
Yes, it is fletching, yeah.
So, you know, nobody would take a fletching cape, but inventory space is so important in our game. You know, I think that doing stuff like this just makes it nicer so those shortcuts are actually used.
Well, I don't have a problem with people needing to bring an item to use something. The grapple is a right pain in the wasp name again, because it's not just the grapple, it's the crossbow as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're quite slow to use.
Yeah. So does that mean we probably wouldn't look to add more grapple shortcuts in general because we don't find them very convenient or fun?
Well, it means that if we did the other thing that seemed a lot more interesting to me, then maybe grapple shortcuts would become more worth the time and effort required to make their graphics.
Sure.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd be more inclined to design content that has it if they were easier to use.
Yeah, because they do require fairly custom graphics and changes to the location to show the grapple stuck to it, and quite a lot of code. And if you're going to get that, and at the end of the day, no one wants to carry a blinking grapple around anyway, doesn't seem so worth it. Make grapples nice to use, starts becoming yet a win.
Okay. Cool. Sounds like you guys are pretty positive about that one. I think we are in general as well.
we shall move on.
Our next player asks that we nerf gold ore buying from the Blast Furnace shop and add an alternative activity to get gold ore.
Yes, please.
Doncaden's gold mine would be a nice opportunity for this.
Oh, I've spent too many hours just running to that bank,
buying gold.
getting gold on an Iron Man. It is absolutely annoying that is the meta to do it. I'd worry about affecting the Ultimate Iron Man meta if we absolutely gutted it, though, because there isn't really a good way for them to do smithing. I know that Zalcano actually is pretty generous with our smithing supplies and gold ore anyway. I know it's not more efficient than just buying it from the shop, but that's at least some consideration.
Okay.
I just think there's no way we can actually make it so you can legitimately mine more than 5,000 to 6,000 gold an hour.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh yeah, that's why you do like Dodecan's, is that right?
Dondacan.
Like his mine could just give you enchanted, untradeable gold ore, so it doesn't affect the actual economy, but then gives more experience than actual gold ore when smelted to try and balance out the time of actually manually mining it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
While also not affecting the economy for regular players. But then, you know, it's essentially the same thing as the shop buying for sand. Find a method that tries not to impact the economy and the actual player. But conveniently, in that scenario, when we did that one, most players aren't actually glass blowing for their crafting trading, so it wasn't as important. But this one would have to be like some form of ore that isn't tradable, that gives experience in a similar way. But
to be honest, I've always hated that about smithing in general, that gold ore is so much better experience than anything else, and it's such a low requirement. Like, I know that's a whole like old school thing, so it's not much we can change and balance it, but it's always like irked me a little bit that, you know, you've got people going for max, even regular accounts, and they just buy gold ore instead of actually the higher tier rune that they can use, or Addy. So it's always kind of bugged me a little, but I don't think we really can change it.
Okay.
I don't think I'd want to either. I think there's a little bit of nostalgia there still.
I mean, I'm in favour of reducing what I think is not great gameplay in terms of like shopscape. Like you say, that's not a lot of fun. I haven't done it myself because I'm not, by the way, but you know very well what that's like. So I think where we can reduce that, sure, but like you say, we would need an alternative that's maybe not as good, because it would probably be very difficult to make an actual mining activity that's as good.
Yeah.
But at least a reasonable substitute. I think what we need for this is a more solid design. We did talk about doing something similar with this at some point, but I think we held off because we don't have a actual balanced numbers design. So if you guys have something, feel free to send it in and we'll take a look.
Yeah.
Could we make it so that the monks of Entrana specify which items are preventing you from boarding their ship?
At the moment, quite a lot of their code works by just saying what's the total number of items in this particular weapon category, and if it is greater than 0, object to it, without ever looking at what the individual items are. That said, with some reworking, it'd be a lot less efficient, because it can't use the engine to just total the offending items and show that it's greater than 0, but no, that should be possible.
Okay.
Their code got a lot simpler. There's a horrible hack in there involving the secateurs, because you can't take weapons. The secateurs are a weapon, but we really wanted you to take the secateurs anyway, and their stats ain't really worth much, so it's all right.
There's a lot of strange things. I think the confusion comes from, like, is it like if you've got capes but they have stats as well, then you can't take them? Is that?
That's not such a big surprise,
Is it?
I thought, because armor.
So I think I saw a player give the example of you can't take the Ardoin cape, for example, but you could take a glory, and they found that confusing.
it's weird, the rules.
Well, as I say,
it would be nice.
It takes some reworking, it'd be a lot less efficient, but I don't see it being impossible.
Okay. When you say less efficient, would that affect sort of the time it takes to board, or?
No, this is about the server having to do a bit more processing.
Okay.
And, you know, keep doing that too long, end up with server performance problems. But I don't think we're going to get them over this.
Sure.
If I'm wrong, you'll know about it.
Alrighty. Our next player wants to know, I think Mod Wolf, you're well placed to answer this, or not, sort of at your discretion. Is Fremlik Exiles the last quest in that series?
No. No?
Okay.
Have an idea. Me and Ed have already discussed the Grandmaster afterwards.
Okay.
Which there would inevitably be if we wanted to continue it. And then there's also off branches of that storyline which we've never touched anyway. So the Kingdom of Miscellanea is actually technically like an offshoot storyline that could continue, because we still need to. I think in RuneScape they actually turn the king back from a Yeti.
Yes.
So, you know, potential for like Kingdom of Miscellanea expansions, which would be cool. Or more importantly, you know, kingdom management expansions, like extra islands attached on and stuff, so that you can get different resources from there. Would be nice. There's also the Nate's Not and Yatso islands. There's more creatures that the Fremniks are always fighting. They're like fighting a lot. There's always an island that's arguing in the Relica region.
And the possibility of Dagonoth Queens out there. So.
I really want Dagonoth Queens to be a thing in the future.
Cool.
Which may or may not be with that Grandmaster, hopefully. I'm not too sure.
Right, there's lots and lots of space and room for more stuff then. It only feels right that huge line in the game doesn't end on a master quest. Not to say it's not going to be a brilliant quest, but the finale of this magnitude probably does deserve a Grandmaster, I would say.
I think that from players, as soon as they experience that quest, they'll probably know that it doesn't finish it, because the way that quest ends, like without spoilers.
Spoilers!
You know, the way that quest ends is very Fremenic.
Yes, it is. Well, it's how every Fremenic quest ends.
Yes.
We'd like to think that whatever finale we ever do have, it will end with one of those.
It will end with a big one.
Yeah, I think you'll know when it's the finale.
Cool.
Your player won't be able to log in for a week after. The amount of alcohol they'll probably consume.
Yep.
Most Fremenic quests do.
Oh, right.
What did you think? You guys have played it. Keep in mind it's a master quest, so it's not like Dragon Slayer 2 length here. But yeah, what did you think of it? Are you all right with it? Because you guys have played it.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest lore person. I don't know a lot of the story, but I did enjoy the playthrough of the quest. I thought it fit that nice level of being. It's not the 6-hour slog of Song of the Elves. It's not. Yeah, Song of the Elves. You guys only had to do that once. But yeah, I quite liked it. I thought the story was really nice, and without spoiling what's actually in it, the things that the player does, I think players are genuinely going to really enjoy that quest.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it myself. I'm worried about saying too much just for accidentally giving a spoiler. There are some nice references back to deep lore, sort of old lore, which is nice. I always enjoy that kind of stuff. It sort of builds the depth story of the game, which I always appreciate.
I take inspiration from people like Ash with my quests. I quite like humour in my quests, but with a serious undertone. So I usually get, a humorous undertone with a serious overtone. That's probably more accurate.
Oh yeah, no, there are definitely some like nice, funny moments in there as well. Again, I won't say more without spoiling anything. But
okay, let's go. Yeah,
let's move on.
Yeah.
I solved the puzzle, the interface puzzle. I don't honestly understand.
Spoilers!
I solved it. I don't honestly understand what it was doing or why it did it. I just found I'd solved it. Nice puzzle.
It works.
It works all right, I think.
In terms of when it will be released, what day is it? Before the end of this month.
So early autumn here.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Our next suggestion is an upgrade to the combat dummies that you find in your POH. This player would like an upgrade that allows you to see your maximum hit against dragons and wilderness monsters when using Dragonbane or wilderness weapons. Can we do this? Would it be practical? Do we like it?
Don't actually know how that thing's set up.
There's a there's a special check added to every single attack you can ever do to an NPC to see if the NPC is one of these dummies, and if so, do max hit every time.
It's not the most efficient.
Nope. I don't see anything stopping us from having another one. Might take a while.
Okay.
Players probably okay with that, of course. It's not their time.
Yeah.
Cool. Then the next player wants us to explain our thought process behind corrupt dragon weapons, the ones that we included in the Bounty Hunter Rewards poll blog. If you haven't read that, Mark BH in the chat will take you to it. So I did want to touch on this one. Basically, we're looking for things. You'll notice in that blog there's a lot of stuff that is from RS2, in terms of like the PvP weapons, Dagon that sort of stuff, and the corrupt dragon weaponry. We didn't want to create anything that would be. Is it me?
I don't know. Who's is anybody chafing with their mic?
When you're moving.
Oh, so chest
Me
hair.
moving. Oh, okay. Apologies.
I was like,
Perhaps I should be more modest and do up the shirt and remove the mic.
Click it down one button.
down a button.
Mute him.
Okay. Oh, sorry, guys.
I'm just gonna. There you go.
I think that'll be all right. Let me know if it's not. I'll try not to move. Yeah, so we wanted to add things that were familiar, but also interesting enough. And I think the Corrupt Dragon weaponry gave us an opportunity to add value to Bounty Hunter, because that's one of the goals, is to make the minigame more profitable. And it also had that nice element of improving the free-to-play PvP experience. That said, it's one of the more questionable things that we've put on there. I don't know how other people on the sofa feel about them as weapons.
The corrupt.
The Corrupt Dragon weaponry.
I like them. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I think that, like, you know, the downsides of them are very little, and the upside is free to play get something that's quite nice to, you know, vary their PvPing.
Would they be getting it from members who've played the minigame?
This is a thing, yes, because it's not available in free-to-play as a minigame. It'll be channeled through the members' worlds. Unless we offered Bounty Hunter 2 free-to-play.
I mean, you could argue the same with Maple Logs as well, but that's a bit of a weird one.
Well, we sure ain't catering to Iron Man.
No.
So yeah, anyway, that was the thought process behind them. Like I say, we're still examining the consequences of it and whether or not we actually want to do it. It's not set in stone that they'll be added, or we may even end up, I think, personally, based on the feedback I've had, I'm leaning towards removing them from the poll for now and revisiting later to see how we might better implement them.
I added Maple Logs in a free-to-play area with the Dragon Slayer 2 thing, with the Corsair Cove. Sorry, you can get them in free-to-play now.
Oh, okay.
I worked on that. Sorry, I forgot about that. Ignore that comment.
I'm actually just curious as well, because like the Corrupt Dragon weaponry was, I think at that point I had stopped playing the original game when they were out, so I don't actually have an opinion on them. Okay. I think it's quite honestly, I like the idea of there being more brackets. But
Did it have level 60 on it when it existed back then, though?
Of what
Corrupt
stats?
Dragonry.
Yeah.
No, I believe it was 20.
Indeed. Now, what we offered here was 60.
60.
So what we've got is the same requirements as standard Dragon, but you can sell it to free to play.
Yeah.
For an hour.
I'm actually curious, like, chat, just give us a little yay or nay. I don't know what people actually think about this. Like, is this something people generally want or not? Like, if people really want it, I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
I just don't know, because I'm not going to, like...
Oh no, we've got people arguing in the chat if it was 20 or 60 now.
I'm not fully versed with this kind of stuff, so it's like I'm not 100% certain. Is the problem that it's not obtainable in free to play? But then I'd argue that, you know, isn't that a win-win? The free to play are getting a new variety thing, and members are getting something they can sell. I don't like. If the downside is that they don't want something stronger in free to play, then yeah, that's bad as well. Do they not want members to be able to access dragon weaponry prior to doing the quests? I'm not sure myself, so sorry.
Yeah.
If it's 20 attack as well, that feels very strange to me. It kind of goes against our whole system, which is like, oh, yeah, that thing you need 40 attack, that rune, I think, oh, that's worse than the thing you need 20 attack for. And people go, wait, what?
That would be strange, of course. It's
yeah.
I think somebody was very much catering to low stat accounts when that was made then, with, of course, the caveat that it degraded and was obtained from something pretty challenging. Here, the bit where I think we wrote in the poll questions it was available on free to play, or would be usable on free to play, but it comes from a members only mini game. That does feel curious to me.
It does, yes. I mean, we'd have to. The only way to get around that, obviously, is allow free to play the minigame, but that's sort of uncharted territory. I think what I'm leaning towards for the time being is probably withdrawing them and revisiting based on your guys' feedback. If you guys have feedback, please comment on the poll blog. We've got a Reddit thread up, a Twitter thread up, to let us know what you think about corrupt weaponry. I notice there's a lot of mixed reactions in the chat.
It's really hard sometimes to get this feedback to know exactly what they don't like. Do they not like it because it's 60? Do they not like it because free to play can't get it? Do they rather, like, it's so hard to know.
I'm also interested in who the feedback's coming from. Is it just a general player who's never even going to touch the content in their life anyway, or is it a PvPer who might actually want it versus a PvPer who might not want it, or a regular player who doesn't want it versus, like, I'm not directly working. Oh, I might actually be testing some of this content, mightn't I? I think I might be.
I think so. There's not a lot of you.
So it would really, I'd appreciate if I could understand your reasoning behind why some of these things did and didn't pass. In these ones in particular.
Yeah.
Or why they are or aren't required. Of course, I think you're CMing it and doing the feedback for it, but it'd be interesting for my explanation, if you could let me know.
We maybe don't need to involve free-to-play.
Yeah.
I suppose it was intended that members could get it and then sell it on, and thus profit would happen.
Right.
Is that what you were going?
That was sort of the idea behind it, yes. Yeah, alternatively, we could, like you say, keep free-to-play out of it, make it members only and drop the attack to 20 or something similar. Like I say, we do have that weirdness then, but...
Those who did discuss it at 20 didn't necessarily think it ever was, or I may have misremembered that number from... It was like a decade ago when this turned up.
Sure.
Just throwing this as a weird maybe twist on that. Requiring 20 attack would feel weird, but what if it just had the requirement moved to strength? So it's like a 60 strength requirement instead. That wouldn't feel so strange. Most PKers get their strength up, and that gives them the chance to have their attack as they want. And that's also a bit strange because weapons are typically only attack, but there are exceptions, like the is it Obimol is one attack, is it? Or is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what I kind of need to know what the issue is with it before I could even propose a potential solution, if any at all.
Sounds like we're not going to poll it on Friday.
Yes.
Probably not. I think there are more questions, more questions to answer about this before we go ahead.
What is the thing we are copying, and why was it?
Yeah.
Right. In the meantime, I'm going to move on. I realise we're at 40 minutes past 5, and we haven't answered all that many questions yet. Sorry, Michael, if you're watching.
Michael.
Currently, a player's first untrimmed 99 cape. Sorry, guys, I'm asking this one again. It's through a new medium this time. Can be kept using the drop/telegrab method. Could the Truva parchments that came out with LMS be used to do this legitimately for the player's first 99 only, of course?
While they could, we do not have records of what the first 99 was for all the players who already have more than one, which is rather a lot of the players who would be wanting reasonably to be rewarded by this thing. So that would be quite unfair.
I don't think we've ever had a difficulty implementing it. The Truva parchment doesn't solve that problem. It's just we don't want to because it's not fair. Unless players really, really wanted it to, or are okay with it.
Possibly the players who are in that state are okay with it, and the players who have got beyond that state are the ones who'd be left out.
Yeah.
And then, of course, not the ones who sent the question.
Yeah.
Right. Our next question is from a player called Kyle, and I named them because they're asking you for advice specifically. I don't know if they were on the wrong thread or what, but I wanted to answer this question anyway. They asked for our opinions on maxing your player-owned house as soon as possible. They say their base 80 in the combat stats with 99 magic. Is 84 construction worth the investment right now? I have a cash stack of 30 to 40 mil and I'm geared fairly well.
Yes. I teleport to my house and click on the pool every time by default, even if I'm at odd reset. That pool is amazing. Get it. If you've already got 30 to 40 mil, you've probably got the gear you need. Getting something like a Bandos chestplate or Armadillo or something like that is not going to be as good as that. Maybe rigor is a consideration if you're doing that content, but absolutely just get the house. It's amazing.
Okay, I think that says it all, really. Yeah.
The players seem very curious about why we have this question in this
It appeared in the thread and I felt like helping the guy out. I'll move on
Players
swiftly.
send some curious questions sometimes. Like a player tweeted me a couple of days ago to ask why I hadn't married some other JMod. I'm very happy with my wife, thank you. But thanks for your interest. We don't necessarily have to bring them all to the QA, although I did bring that one.
Our next question is about a bug that's appearing on mobile. I was hoping someone to my left might have some info on it. They say that the examine option is currently being prioritised over picking up items in a pile on the ground.
We've checked. The engine team is aware that that is a live bug and that we would like it expedited. And they said they do what they could for us.
Great. Thank you very much. Perhaps the mod on my right will be able to answer this one, funnily enough. Why was
It's like the worst cha-cha slide ever.
Mod to the left, mod to the right. You know?
Why was the unique from Serachnis that would lower the Darkbow speed by 1 tick removed as a potential reward? Do you recall this suggestion?
Yeah, it was never removed. It was on a dev stream where we were just kind of saying, maybe this is the sort of things we've spoken about. I think it felt... we had basically had a look at some of the work, and the problem is that slow-hitting weapons generally are just bad. Making the dart bow from, I think it's 9 tick by default, 8 on rapid, to 8 and 7 wouldn't have really fixed its problem. I mean, you can compare it to Magic Shortbow and be like, okay, it's hitting twice, so is it better than the Magic Shortbow, which is 4-tick? I think the answer was that like the overkill factor in our game is just so strong that we'd probably need to start looking at making it 2 or 3-tick, and then what's the point in it being a dart bow? I'm okay. I think there were a lot of other suggestions as well that were, maybe we make an upgrade to it that removes the damage cap. Maybe we make an upgrade to it that I think there's a delay or something between the 2 arrows hitting. Maybe we could have an upgrade that makes it hit
that stacks those hits,
MSP 4-tick on accurate, sorry, that's what the thing I was going by, not rapid.
It's a bit weird with multiple hitting weapons in general, I think. I don't personally like multiple hitting weapons. Like, I don't like the scythe simply because I would have rather it just do 1 hit and then it just, if it's a large creature, just it calculate the extra damage.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit weird. It kind of reminds me of card games where if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! It's in thousands and you look at Magic and it's in singular digits, and it's because big numbers are cool. I don't see multiple.
Constitution then.
Yeah, like you look at Dragon Dagger, and that is actually 2 different attacks, whereas the scythe is 100%, and then like I think it's 25% or 25%, something like that. Like it's calculated differently. It's like I don't get it. It's just obscuring damage numbers for the sake of obscuring.
Yeah. Ultimately, we decided that buff wouldn't be good enough. We weren't sure where to go with it, and we already had a good enough unique in the cudgel.
Right.
I think the cudgel is fine. It's actually holding its value better than I thought it would. And it is just a case of it's rare enough, and just that it's got a weird crush niche, and I'm kind of happy with that. It was never intended to be a great weapon that everyone uses, but it's there as an option.
Sure.
And yeah, I did like the idea of taking Tuareg's hammers and turning it into 2 splats.
Yeah.
But again, I would expect it to be 100% damage and lower damage, as opposed to it being 75% of the hit and then an extra 50% to be 125% total of the total damage, and then it's just too much maths.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly haven't done that to Tuareg's hammers.
Yeah. But we did it with scythe, is what I'm,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I'm getting at.
How much does a cudgel sell for these days?
I looked at it a few weeks back, and it was in the realms of about a couple of mil, maybe just a bit less, which is, I think, better. I haven't seen what it's done the last few weeks, but when I did check on it, it was hovering around that 2 mil mark, and it was at 3 mil for a while before dropping down to that. I think it's just I purposely made it so it was a bit of a rare drop. I didn't want these to come into the game in large volumes. For those who haven't seen, it's a 1 in 384, the same as like a individual item from Bandos.
Looks like the chat is saying it's dropped a fair bit since then, but
It's gone down quite a
even then,
bit.
that's holding value, which is
Yeah, well, that's what
good sign.
I actually saw it settling down to then, about 750k to a mil. It was already 2 mil for a while.
Alrighty. I'll move on to our next question. This player would like to know if any accounts were rolled back after they abused the last man standing bug.
The
obtain
data
diary
staff
rewards.
obtained quite a list. It was not that long a list, to our surprise. And those players are being tracked. And I think there'll be something coming for them presently. Don't have a date for it, but it's not like they're going to trade it off.
Cool.
Yeah, this is unlike some other instances people have mentioned. This is very easy to tell.
Well, you can see who did it and roughly when, and it's not going to go away or trade over to their alt.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
It's fortunate that not too many people did it. We would hope that if there is a bug or anything along those lines, that you, our lovely viewers, would never do anything like that.
It's very easy to tell if somebody has completed a task that usually requires 92 rune crafting and is 30.
Yes.
Yes, it's quite easy to identify,
Yep.
and we are
If
looking
they
for
could
it.
see what time it was done.
So unless that guy or girl or whoever, the amount of people who did it have managed to get from 30 rune crafting to 92 in the past week or so, which I don't think they will have. They probably will have a prompt smacking from our support team.
Right, our next question is, after Warding failed the polls, has the team considered other ways that mid/high level PVM gear could be removed from the game? Basically a question about item sinks. Have we thought about those much?
I haven't seen any suggestions come up since warding.
Not on that scale.
No.
Warding was a very big one.
Yeah.
It depends how big of an issue. It depends on the item really as well.
I think with item sinks, you've got this really fundamentally difficult problem whereby they've got to convert to something of value, otherwise there's no incentive to sync the item. But that value can't be much higher or much lower than the equivalent GP value of the item itself. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
creating the opposite of a sink. You're creating obviously a surplus of gold.
Well, it's not gold
Or it's not
injection
really
if it's not actual gold.
No,
Gold.
right.
It's just weird. It just depends on how much you're willing to throw away. Also, just how much sense it makes. So you look at the TOTS improvements that we made, and it's like hand in 10 TOTS, trying to the seas, and it just increases the charges. And you're like, that's not really. It's kind of odd that you just go to this girl and you go, here's 10 of these things, increase my charges, but it helps keep the economical strength of those things. So it's like there's a way up all the time.
I think it's tentacles she takes off.
Oh, it's tentacles. Sorry, it's the tentacles.
We don't say what she's doing with the thing. She doesn't like people killing the Kraken, hence leave the Kraken. But she does want you to bring the severed tentacles of them. I personally think she's making the ultimate calamari.
That's one of the ways to do it, handing it into creatures. The other way of doing it is have it so that it turns into stuff. So Serp Helm and Blowpipe can be chiseled into the equivalent that charges them. You then have some really weird ones that we've done, like you require the obsidian staffs to build something, like as a fence in your construction house. Like there's lots of ways to do it. It's just about getting suggestions on how to do them.
I'll throw this out there as a very Monka-esque opinion, but when you've got an item that's best in slot and it continues to stay best in slot for a really long period of time, and more of them come into the game, they're just going to go down in value. Like that's just the honest truth. Bandos, Chestplate, and Armadillo have been best in slot for so long. That's why they're going down, because there aren't enough people to use them compared to people farming them. That's the inevitable thing. That's why we need the item sync. The other thing you can do is release a new best in slot, obviously, or something like that. We've tried that, and, well, not me personally, but that's tried in the past with raids and it's failed. And obviously things like that will never get in the game. They pass a poll, but yeah, there aren't enough there are too many Bandos Chestplates, not enough players.
Yeah. I think I would point out that while they're sort of inevitably going to go down in value, as obviously the number of them increase in game, it is happening very slowly.
Yeah,
they're holding value
slowly.
like pretty well, and I wouldn't say it's an immediate or urgent disaster. It's not sort of they're not going to fall off a cliff tomorrow or anything.
No, but you've seen that like things like barrows, like they've continually gone down because.
But not by a lot.
Yeah.
Not by a lot at all. Like, the biggest problem in economies usually is like gold injection. Now, gold injection's really good. Like, people, I think one year somebody noticed it went from like 14 trillion to 21 trillion. The economy's ruined. And it's like, no, it's really not. Like, there's not much there. There's a lot going out. Like, it's really healthy.
Depending on what year that was, the number of players might have gone up by a similar.
Exactly. Like, that's the kind of thing. It's. Items are kind of fine in most scenarios. You can always find something to attach to it to make it so that they get consumed as well, if it ever becomes a problem. Like, we're in a really healthy position. RuneScape was, I always use their invention as an example because I really liked how they saved a lot of their items price. The issue is, it's a good example as well of when you have too much cash in an economy as well, because although their items crashed and then invention came out and I think, like items that were worth like 10k are now all of a sudden worth 1-2 mil, like treasure trail items. They got their value back, but the reason they're 2 mil is because their gold is worth less. Like in our game, if we were to do something like that, would they go from 10k to like 300k in equivalency? It's just, game economies are cool.
Yeah. But no, I don't think we've come up with anything as sweeping as warding. If we're doing anything right now, it kind of feels individually item targeted for things we know or see as a problem.
If it became an urgent issue, we'd look at
We'd address it.
Things, yeah.
100%.
Sure. I realise we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to move on to the chat questions. Can you continue to leave them in the chat at Old School RuneScape? Bruno will pick them up and add them to the list. To start with, we have a question from RealType who says, could we make it so there are more than 5 volume settings in the audio tab? There's no option that's a good balance of loud or quiet.
The engine team could. I don't personally see them dropping other things to do this imminently, though.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would point out that we are on Spotify. If you can't find
Spotify.
quite the setting you like.
I'd also like to point out that you can set it to one value and adjust your actual volume on your PC.
No. Let's not say that. You are right, but they're not wrong. That's not a fair thing to say to them, I think.
Yeah, it's still there, though. You can still do it if you want a specific volume.
Yeah.
Well, at least their ears won't be removed while they're waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next player wants to know when BH2 is coming. !BH in the chat will take you to the rewards poll blog. The rough timeline on that is we're polling that hopefully at the end of this week. I think we're planning to run that from Friday until Wednesday. development will begin, I think, shortly after, with a beta going live sometime after Runefest. If all goes to plan, I think a fair scale to give is we would like the full launch to happen before the end of the year. Is that?
I'd certainly like that.
It's tentative.
we'd definitely
that's
like
what we'd
that.
like to go
Particularly
for.
as once it's in a beta form, the original one won't be available to play while that's going on.
Right.
And we would rather not take it away completely because that would be rather hard for people to get the stuff.
Yeah.
Do keep in mind that it is a beta, like in the exact same way that we did with the
Line of
previous,
sight.
with the line of sight, the previous beta that we did. It could very well not go in the game as well. Like that is the point of the beta. So
Yeah, you might hate it.
we truly appreciate you jumping in and giving your opinions on it in a constructive manner.
Death785369 wants to know if we could slow down the amount of updates per month so the game doesn't change too rapidly.
Quite a lot of our updates really don't change the game very far. Take, for example, tomorrow's featuring Maz's amazing house advertising board. I do not feel that that's a very big game changer, except for people who are advertising house parties, and people are already doing that anyway. They might like to use this alternative feature for doing it. So, while there are occasional huge updates, Song of the Elves, for example, a lot of stuff doesn't change the game that rapidly. Even my last quest, making friends with my arm, that one has relatively little impact outside of, what was it? Another
Not needing a lantern anymore inside of caves.
Indeed. So now players occasionally suggest that if we just slow down the rate of updates, maybe they'd be better updates, bigger updates. I don't know. What we've found on the occasion when we've taken a week off wasn't that people got something better at the other end of it.
It's got
Mostly
more of
just
it.
that the bugs that could have been fixed a week earlier, you guys had to cope with them for another week until we next rebooted the servers, and that wasn't necessarily helpful. So while we do take weeks off from time to time when it's necessary, convenient, desirable, anything else, it doesn't necessarily lead to whatever's being hoped for here. Sorry.
Thank you for that, Ash. I'll ask our penultimate question from the chat from Lord Hunt. They want to know if the stale baguette could be made storable in the POH.
Yes.
Coming next week.
And yeah, well,
Yeah.
there we go.
Scheduled for next week. Along with some other items, I believe.
What were they?
Flippers?
Flippers and mud skipper hat.
That's on, yeah.
Okay.
We've taken a few of those on recently because those are some of the more common.
Yes.
It sounds really weird, but there's some of the really common Q&A questions that we get. So yeah.
So we've spent a little time doing them.
I think we do have quite a long list of requests for things to be added, and we are constantly
Yes.
looking at it.
And the good thing about those ones is they were within the scope of the team. Unfortunately, however many times players might ask about, say, the volume thing, that's not within the scope of this team. So we wouldn't be able to, offer that one in a week just because it was really popular, even if it would be more beneficial than being able to put your baguette in a new place. But that one we can deliver and are pleased to do.
Our last question is from Flamey Greg. He wants to know where he can buy that polo. I want it. Well, funny you should ask. If you missed the beginning of the stream,
You just plug that one in. You said penultimate the question beforehand.
I didn't plug it in. This was collected. It's organic and genuine from Bruno. Can confirm. Yes, this wonderful polo with I don't know if I get a zoom. Probably I won't bother our producer.
Our producer's heading on over. Here he comes.
Lean
this-
this onto the camera.
This wonderful white polo with embroidered RS stones is going to be available on the merch store as of tomorrow with the update. If you like it, and hopefully other people do as well, there you go. We'll be selling it on the merch store tomorrow, and hopefully other colours in the future if they're popular enough.
Did the player mean that specific shirt that you're in?
If you want this one, I don't know if we can help you out with that. Your address at the end of the stream. Sorry. Other announcements that we touched on at the beginning were !BH for the Bounty Hunter Rewards poll blog that we're polling on Friday. And the LMS Rewards poll is live at the moment. Please vote. We also touched on Runefest and Deadman Seasonal / our plans with competitive gameplay. If you missed it, scroll back at the beginning of the VOD after the stream and check that out.
Runefest, man. I'm so excited. This is a cue for our producer to put in our lower fifth, real slowly and slickly. Runefest this year, may I point out.
At the moment, I'm not pointing to anything.
It's not. I'm really hoping. There it is. There we go.
Right.
I just finished writing my script and repolishing it for what I'm announcing.
Oh, exciting. There's some really big stuff in there this year.
There is some huge stuff. We are really low on tickets now, so please do come along. If not, of course, however, it will be live streamed to everyone, as it always is every year. This isn't even scripted. I'm saying this ain't scripted. I don't have a script, all right? Oh, wait, the thing might be. The announcement might be. But that needs to be scripted.
Yeah.
Cool.
If he starts announcing things that nobody else in the team knows about, then
that wouldn't be very
you
good.
might find it a bit hard to get anyone to program it.
That's true.
I'm super excited for Runefest. This will be my first one, so.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
So if you want to come see the team at Runefest, like I say, it's less than a month away. ! Runefest to get your tickets. There are a few left. I think that just about wraps things up. We are at time, so I'm going to thank everyone for joining me on the sofa this week, and Mod Bruno on chat, as well as our wonderful producer Mod John, and of course you guys for watching. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Come to Runefest.